Hey, y'all, it's Pat Jones. I'm very excited to be coming back to Myrtle Beach for the first time in a couple of years. I missed the show so much. I missed y'all so much. And I also missed some friends of ours a lot. And I'm going to introduce them here in a second because I think you probably know who they are. But I just want to say I'm excited to come down there. I'm going to do some selfie madness, do a lot of that selfie stuff going on, a good time, but with a good purpose too, because I'll helping BASF share the message that they're taking a larger role in the show this year. And also they've got some great things going on with new products. But before we get to any of that, we wanted to have a conversation with a couple of our friends from BASF, Willie Pennington and Scott Waltz. Willie, say hi.
Hi.
Scotty, say hi.
Good to be here, Pat.
I'm glad you guys are here. So the fun part here is to kind of get some perspective as you guys transition, and this has been the kind of weirdest transition ever for Scott as you guys transition from Willie, who's a legend and taught me so much over the years about salesmanship and about being a gentleman, and so I appreciate that. But also I've gotten to know Scott, and I was just complimenting him on the fact that I think he might be the most adept salesperson in the industry at social media. He's very, very good at sharing information. So you're trading one legend for another legend in the making. But so Willie, catch us up, man. Catch us up on what you've been doing here for the last 20 months or so through the pandemic and everything else. Did you hunker down? Have you had some fun? What have you been doing?
I've been having fun, going out, getting in shape from sitting down for 40 plus years, doing a lot of walking, trying to stay active. And since we can't do much traveling and other stuff, I decided to take the activities to keep my health in good shape and do things a little bit differently than I was, and watching my health and keeping things in perspective.
Good for you. Now, when you go walk, do you go walk on golf courses? I do that sometimes. I like going and power walking on courses.
Walk in the neighborhood mostly. I have a couple of old neighbors, and they are retirees, and we spend time that now we become the mayors of the community. So now we have the opportunity to meet and greet all the pets and all the youngsters that are coming in as grandchildren.
That's so good. Yeah, it's all about having those grandkids and those young kids around you to keep you going. So, how much do you miss selling every day, Willie?
I'm always selling. You can't get it out of your system. No matter where you are, or what you're doing, there is a message to the madness, and you're going to sell something to somebody or say yourself, So I look at it and say it's something that we will never lose. And but then in the heat of battle, you're not competitive. So now it's setting people on other good ideas and other good things about living.
Yep, that's great. So Scott, you started to make this transition, and it was all planned, and everything was going great, and then all of a sudden, boom. Global pandemic, and so it changed your approach. But how have you made this transition, and what kinds of things have you been able to do to go out and really get to know people in the area?
Yeah, I moved down to the Carolinas October of 19. Willie stayed on board through the month of October, so we got around to see a lot of folks during EOP. We made a lot of trips to different areas in the territory, and that was wonderful. But then after the lull and we kind of came into the spring, COVID hit. They restricted our travel completely, and it made it really tough to get out and to see customers in parts of the territory where you couldn't spend the night.
Yeah, but so how did you compensate for that? What kinds of things were you doing? I mentioned social media earlier, but there's got to be some.
Yeah, I like to be. Okay. Yeah, I like to be active on Twitter, but been taking advantage of WebEx and some of the different social platforms to get meetings out. We were blessed to launch 3 new products this year, and Emma Lookabout and I have been doing training sessions focused on whether it be the individual products, the Ellucion, the Finale XL, the Encartus, or even coming up with some of the solutions for some of our older products like Freehand and Tower.
Yep. And you mentioned something too. the tech team at BASF is pretty engaged these days in helping customers with Emma and of course Dr. Cam Stevens. So it's got to be kind of a nice asset for you to have them close by and be such experts.
Well, and Emma knows what I'm going through because she started about the same time I did, replacing Kathy Kamowitz. So she had big shoes to fill. I had big shoes to fill. So, you know, we really are both kind of new at this. So it's just been trying different things and seeing how we can get out there and let people know that BASF has a lot of neat things to talk about right now.
Right. So Willie, did you wake up at any point this month and just like panic that the EOP was happening and you'd forgotten to go sell everything? Or just, I'm joking, but this has always been the crazy time of year too. Did you think about this, that EOP is right now?
Well, no, I still keep in contact with a lot of the old friends that I made throughout the years, Pat, and the panic button never hit us because we kept in touch. We text back and forth, but that's the new media that we got into. But remember how we came along. It was face to face.
Right.
So you lose that piece of it being face to face, and that's the piece you miss. You miss seeing the faces of the best friends you ever met in this industry.
You know, you told me something years ago. I interviewed you for Golf Course Industry magazine a long time ago. And there was a lot of great stuff in that article. And anybody wants to Google it, just Google Mr. Pennington and you'll find it. There was a lot of great stuff in that article, but you said something that always stuck with me, and I use it almost every time I go out and do training with salespeople or whatever it is. You said, friends first, business later. Tell me what that means. What does that mean to you?
You have to earn trust. If you're asking someone to spend this kind of money, you have to earn that trust first. And that trust coming back is that you learn what their needs are and understand those needs, and you look at them in the face. Though when you look someone in the face, you can get the reaction of what their true needs are, and they can see what your response to their needs are. So yes, friends first, business second.
Yeah, that's great. It's hard because, you know, salespeople want to go out and help. They want to do things as quickly as they can, but figuring out how to help is pretty important too.
Yes.
So Scott, as you move forward and you've got all these new technologies in your quiver, so to speak, what's kind of exciting in the South product wise? What's things have really been a game changers for the superintendents around the Southeast?
Well, I think that Max Steam and Navicon obviously have been huge for us with just the disease spectrum that they cover, from spring dead spot to take all root rot. Those, you know, as Jim Kearns always says, you know, take all root rot is really becoming a different beast with as many months as it's showing up. And it's just a lot of guys are having issues with, you know, the timing and rotation and using the right product. So that launch for us a couple of years ago kind of started the ball rolling. But this year with launching like the Finale XL and changing up that formulation, you know, that's given us a lot of a momentum on POA control in the wintertime with all the Roundup resistance. The Ellucion, we finally got an insecticide that we can go out there and treat for, you know, surface feeders and ants. And guys really seem to be looking for something besides just a pyrethroid that they can spray out there and only get a couple weeks control. And then finally, you know, Incardus, Willie, you remember Incardus was on the shelf about 10 years ago to launch.
Yes.
And we finally got around to doing it.
Yes.
And, you know, adding chlorthalonil to Emerald is a good thing. It just makes both of those actives better. So we've got a lot more leeway. We got a lot more flexibility now with the Emerald product than we ever had.
Yeah, it's amazing because I was doing some research about that early on for the Incardus launch. And I think it was Dr. Rick Lattin from out at Purdue called it the greatest fungicide never launched, which is what happened. It was all ready to go, and they slowed down and now have come back with a very specific purpose. I think that's really neat that everything old is new again. So speaking of everything old, Willie, you know, there's going to be a lot of old timers at the show. Who are you really looking forward to seeing among your friends that maybe you haven't gotten a chance to see in a while?
Butch Sheffield, Bob Young,
Yep. Yep.
Bill Anderson. Always fun to see.
Yep.
Gosh, Smith Turfing, Wayne Smith.
Wayne Smith.
When I first moved here and got part of, became part of this association, it was guys like Wayne Smith, Bob Bell, Les Kirkendall, the old Porter brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of their family, and they never ever, looked and saw me as something different. And I'll always cherish that, from it. I still to this day, I call Wayne Smith Mr. Clark. He has never changed. He looked just like Dick Clark every day I saw him. But those are the things that were special because, Pat, when I looked around, I was the only thing that looked like me at the show in those early days. But I was part of that family. And, and that just make things, you only feel good about those things that people look and say, we're going to make you part of this and we're all going to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Willie, that's the perfect place to stop this. And just to tell everybody, we're going to be there Tuesday, Wednesday for sure, a couple of days. And I can't wait to walk around the show floor a little bit with you, Willie, and with you, Scott, and see how things going. Take all those selfies and have a good time. But here, final thoughts, Scott, before we go. What's the last thing you want everybody to know about the Carolina show and BASF?
I just want to first say, everybody has just been absolutely welcoming in the Carolinas. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better bunch of customers. Obviously, following Willie, Willie always said, like you said, family first, customer second, but he's really kind of taught me to get to the need. What does the customer need? And not just showing up and saying, hey, let me just tell you about this or that. So I think, Willie, that's kind of what you're known for is, digging down to what the heart of the issue is. And we've got so many great solutions.